Hi everybody, Shawn here from Life Management Coaching Solutions. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about how we can develop as change agents across our lifespan, right? And I want to show that there are typical stages that we pass through along our journey to becoming fully capable change agents, capable of positive change and also of sustaining it. So I use this model of stages of change agency development. I use this model as a frame of reference to kind of help to create a picture of what you can expect to see in yourself and others at certain ages, right? And it will also help you to identify um, delays, right? When people have these kind of developmental delays in regards to how they act. Um, and by seeing where they're stuck, it'll help you to understand where they're coming from and maybe what the next stage is that you could help facilitate for them, right? Or for yourself. Um, and this is based on my own thinking and research, right? So um, the first stage of development is the childhood stage. And in regards to being a agent of change, um, what kind of change do children create, right? Typically, children need to be supervised. And that's because they make bad decisions, right? Um, if a child gets an impulse to run and jump off a couch, they'll do it without regard to the fact that gravity is going to cause them to fall down and hurt themselves, right? You know, they might sometimes feel like doing something and then do it, and that certainly, you know, is a little bit of that change agency developing. But for the most part, they're not engaging in consequential thinking, right? Children don't have a pattern of action or a habit of approaching and responding to their circumstances in a way that is able to um, create either constructive change or destructive change, right? That's why they need to be supervised by an adult. Now, the next stage would be that young adolescent stage where a young teen might be trying to separate from their parents a little bit and have their own personal autonomy, right? They want, you know, it's like make room for me to exist, right? And in some of those more extreme cases, the young adolescent will develop an approach and response to others that is not respectful of others. Um, in other words, you could sum it up as an attitude of I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't care what you think about it, right? I don't care how it affects you. It's not about you, it's about me, right? I don't care if it's going to take all your grocery money, mom. I need your money to pay for my cell phone minutes because I want to talk more, you know. Um, so the next stage after that in late adolescence and young adulthood is that time when the older teenager is becoming more socialized and they're learning more about the rules of society and their cultural expectations, right, on them. Like, you need to go out and work for a living. There are laws and rules and policies that you need to abide by. And so the normal kind of way that a late adolescent begins to approach and respond to their circumstances at this stage is with an attitude that could be summed up as focusing on others at the expense of self, right? In extreme cases, they engage in total conformity to authority. My parents want me to do it. That's why I'm doing it. My religious community leaders tell me to do it this way, and so I do it without question. My boss tells me what to do, and I'm just fine with that because I am in that stage of development where you do what you're told, right? Like an adolescent would. Um, and then hopefully, and this is the part where I think people sometimes don't make it to, is that final stage of being a fully mature adult, change agent. And that's the stage where um, you're expected to be able to find win-win solutions, meaning you have an attitude that is characterized by a balanced focus on yourself and other people. You both matter. And also on the environment, right? Neither you or other people would be around if it wasn't for the environment taking care of you. So clearly from so many of the social problems that we have in our culture, you can tell that a lot of people don't get to this level um, of understanding that they are not only capable of, but also responsible for the outcomes that happen in their life and to the people around them, right? And that's because we are agents of change. And if we choose not to use our power, we're still choosing, right? Just like that famous Rush song, I think it is, called Free Will. Even if you choose not to make a choice, even if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice, right? That's what they say. Um, so the problem is when people become delayed in these areas, right? Like, I'm an adult in body, but I portray myself and act as if I were a child, right? I just let anyone tell me what to do and run my life because I have what they call in psychology an external locus of responsibility, right? I don't see myself as being responsible for what happens in my life. Now, and these are people that we often describe as a victim mentality, that they have a mindset of someone who's a victim. And that is totally different, of course, than people who are actually victimized by being assaulted or robbed or harmed or abused. Because any of us can be victims, right? But once you've been victimized, usually people who have been victimized go on to become survivors, right? And they don't want to be thought of as someone who's a victim. They don't have a victim mentality. And often it's people who are actually quite instrumental. They are acting in a lot of capacities to change things, often for the worse, who portray themselves as if they were children, little irresponsible kids, right? And that can cause a lot of frustration for other adults who recognize them for what they are, other adults, right? Who are responsible for what they do. Now, another problem arises when you have an adult in body who is stuck at a 13-year-old level and is constantly making decisions that exclude others or devalue others. So you might say they went a little too far in trying to pull away from, other people to develop their own sense of self. Now they're so disconnected that they need to come back, right? And these are the types that you might describe as the villainous character. That's the adult in the story who only cares about themselves. The next stage of development is a problem when it becomes like a bystander effect. That's another thing they talk about, where you as an adult are just standing there and allowing people to be bullied, or maybe yourself to be bullied, because you think you're just supposed to accept that, to conform to that norm, right? Because maybe in your family, oppression is the norm. Maybe people have always been telling everyone what to do. Um, And so you want to try to push through that, right? And come back to understand that you are just as valuable as other people. And so if someone tells you to do something wrong, or if someone bullies someone else that you love and care about, you don't just stand there and let it happen, because you have the power to influence that, right? So the idea is to get people to that top stage, what I call the heroic or hero stage, because the hero does what's right. They stand up for what's right, and ultimately that's simply being an adult, right? Nothing totally special about that. It's simply a matter of caring enough about yourself and other people, and understanding that you have the power to change things for better or worse by the way that you approach and respond your circumstances, right? So, in a nutshell, the danger, is that people who act as if they are victims always, are often the people who get played by that 13-year-old villainous character, because villains don't care about others. Villains want to dominate others. And they'll dominate someone who chooses to, or doesn't know that they have power, right? They choose not to use their power, or they don't know they have power. And ultimately, um, we all have the ability to move through that. So this is important because, in addition to having the practical knowledge and skills you'll need to create and sustain positive change, um, the kind of change you create is going to be contingent upon the level of development that you are at. So um, the solution would be to, if you're in that victim mentality position, you want to understand that you are at least half responsible for what happens, right? Because ultimately it's you and the environment kind of pinging off each other. I act and the world responds to me, right? Pushes back. And if you're in that stage where you're overly focused on yourself at the expense of others, it's important for you to understand that you need other people in order to get your human needs met for love and belonging, attention, respect, dignity, support. Um, and if you're serious about your own success, then you'll be serious about including other people, because you can't make it without other people. So you're going to want to try to cultivate healthy connections, right? I'm not talking about putting up with people that hurt you just so you can be in a relationship. I'm talking about being open to that experience of connecting with healthy other people, right? And if you're in that sidekick role of late adolescence where you have good intentions, but you're just allowing bullies to run, you right over, um, understand that you can rise to that hero status. Um, you can move from being Robin to being Batman, so to speak, uh, because what every hero needs is another hero, right? That's more powerful than a hero and a sidekick, so to speak. So, and if you're in that hero stage, you need to understand that um, you need to be around other heroes. You need to be around other people who are like you and who support you making those um, decisions that are good for you and for others. Um, and also, you need to have X-ray vision. You need to be able to see the tactics that are going to be used against you by people who are stuck in that villainous kind of role, right? People who are going to use strategies that are disrespectful and forceful. Um, so that's kind of a extended, brief example and a little bit of talk about that. So we'll talk more about that in class, and we've already gotten started. So come visit us at our program. Come take a class. It's $10 a week. Or I'm trying to set up a live interactive video chat so that if you're not in the local area, you could come too. And check out our website at www.flourishing-life.com. And have a great day. Thanks a lot for listening.